Hello friends, Jennifer Pearson here, Thistle Gypsy. So, um, I got in my daily reading for the 25th, I got the Death card, and as I was looking at that card and exploring it, the idea of an ancestor mentor came to my mind, which was totally new. um, Yeah, a lot of the quote unquote spiritual stuff is a little, well, maybe I'll say foreign to my nature. Um, yeah, and especially the stuff that deals with people who have passed. So, and any sort of connection, I mean, it just seems so vague. It just seems so vague and sort of out there to me. That does not mean that I discount mediums. That does not mean that I discount other people who connect with, speak to, whatever. I don't like, maybe I'll say energies. Maybe energies is what I'll use. You know, there are some terms that don't quite make sense to me that make it somehow more material. Um, but in any case, like with power animals or spirit animals, that I click with like immediately. But other things strike me as maybe edgier also. Connecting with those who have passed probably is one of those things that I think of as edgier, which of course to some people who are natural mediums, it's second nature to them. So, you know, in the same way that spirit animals are second nature to me, and I know there are people who are very sensitive to ghosts. I would say I am not one of those. I would have to definitely have a poltergeist that was grabbing things and whacking me on the noggin with them to notice. Um, with one exception, actually, when my dog passed away, I felt like she hung around for a while. But so yeah, so I decided I looked it up online actually. I just typed in Ancestor Mentor, and I came up with someone who engages in ancestral healing, which I think, but it seems to be more oriented toward people who have experienced trauma or have a really toxic like family history of like generational abuse, you know, where generation after generation, you know, there are stories of abuse or something of that nature. Um, I've saved some of them because usually these people are multi-dimensional people who are doing this kind of work, and so I have saved some of them on my computer for continued exploration. But other than that, and this person who has kind of brought this to the US and has been training others is a psychologist, a trained psychologist, and um, he and some of the others refer to the Orisha tradition. So I think they're getting it from ancestor or from African traditions is what they're relying on for their concept of this kind of work. Um, so, so I'm just sharing that for anybody who is interested in that sort of thing. Certainly there are other people than him And why they don't come up in a search, I don't know. Maybe because his seems more formal, and he's a psychologist and he's training people in this formal way. But I know that there's somebody on YouTube who I really enjoyed listening to, and she's an African American woman, um, older woman, and I can't remember, I watched a couple of her hour long or 45 minutes to an hour long sessions that she was doing online kind of training. And I can't remember if it was what it had to do with, if it was connection with the ancestors, talking with the ancestors, but again, from certainly an African spirituality point of view. So what I did here with my trip and wait, which I would say is probably not the most natural deck to go to for this sort of thing, but I have my two other decks in this assigned to this room where I have space to do this, are occupied because I have not had time due to work demands to focus as much as I want to on some of the interesting readings I've gotten to, so I'm not touching those other decks right now. I want to preserve the cards to look at them again, that have come up in recent readings. So I asked, why have an ancestor mentor? That was the question I asked here. Why have one of these? That tells you kind of how dense I am. I just am not, why go to what I would consider kind of a creepy zone where you're not sure who or what you're connecting with, and how they might mess with you potentially. So, because I am so foggy on that sort of situation, that sort of reaching out, it makes me very leery. I am less foolish in this regard than I am in other regards. So I got these pretty happy cards, right? To me, I would take this as exploration. And since it's the three, it's essentially, I think, telling me that it's time for me to make this exploration, to stop sitting on the fence, which is kind of what the Two of Wands is thinking about it and maybe, and speculating about it. And this is taking the step. And so to me, this card is pretty much just saying, you're on the edge here anyway, Jennifer. You're right there. The ships, so apparently there's a set of ancestors that are waiting for me. If you would just bridge the gap. This makes it look like there's, that I would be tapping into this whole world of energies willing to help, or I don't know if come back to life is quite the right word, but I think that this also, because judgment is about calling up those who have proven that they're worthy to come back, right? So it's not just random. In this these this website that I found, this person who does this ancestral healing, they make a point of mentioning that when they're communicating or connecting with these ancestors for this healing, they're contacting well ancestors. So they're not attempting to resolve a situation with, say, somebody who abused you. They're not trying to call up that person and somehow heal that particular specific situation. They're calling up a well ancestor. I have no idea what the well ancestor does, or I'm clueless. That person does have a book that he has published. It's available on Amazon. Let me see if I can get, I don't think I have his, I have him still on here, but I don't know if I have his name. Let me check. In one of these, I don't have his actual website, just some of the people who were on it. And I'll try to get it from, well, let me go back one on this one. Of course, you know, it escapes me when, well, it is. It's ancestralmedicine.org. Ancestralmedicine.org. And the person who I'm talking about who has written the book and does the teaching here is Dr. Daniel Foor, Foor. Okay, so yeah. So there is a book, and I might get the book. But I'm not sure that what I would do is what he's doing. For one thing, yeah, you know, I don't care, because I'm not a trained psychologist, I don't care to go where, you know, down that lane. But you know, I might get the book and see what it has to say, and do my own stepping off here. And it is interesting that this is not the Fool card. It's kind of a more gentle, gradual, conscious moving forward than the Fool is. More prepared. And then we have this other three. So there's three here, there's three here. And so this is obviously just a friendly card, a card of, you know, so my question is, why have an ancestor mentor? It's like, because it's fun. It's lovely. It's companionable. You know, there are people, there are spirits, there are energies ready to help you. All you have to do is call on them. You know, that's very similar to this. All you have to do is, you know, get to the dock and hail your ships that are waiting to take you, you know. So certainly all very positive here. But I decided to pull some more. So I pulled, in total, I pulled 9 cards. And it was interesting because each row kind of had its own purpose, as it turned out. I didn't, at first I just wanted to pull 3 cards and see what I got. But I mean, this is really so positive. It's like, all right, so tell me more. You know, that was my next foot, my next step toward the shore there was, okay, tell me more. And so we had this, and this. Let me put them down here closer to you. And this almost immediately struck me as 3 different ancestors. 3 different ancestors. So I would have to explore this more as in terms of who exactly this is, and that would be a separate video. I'm not going to do that, but I did pull one more row. And I don't think that I'm meant to like pinpoint an ancestor. I don't think that's the point of this. But just that there's an ancestor that is wanting to help me somehow with issues of justice. And that's, I mean, justice to me is such a big term. It can have to do with legal justice. It can have to do with karmic justice. It can have to do with social justice. It can have to do, as we all know, with balancing things, with a general sense of fairness. What is fair? Um, it could have to do with judging the actions and behaviors of others in our lives, in our personal lives. So I'm not sure exactly what that is, or kind of a feel for that person. But this really struck me that there was somebody wanting to help me with financial um, stability. So, I mean, I would never think to go to an ancestor for that. So it's so strange to me that comes up. Um, but there it is, like a financial mentor. And then this was even more interesting and strange. So this is clearly, well, it wasn't clear. I'll say this. It wasn't clear to me. And if it was just then saying, well, it's like I could kind of get these two, but it's like, who is this? Who seems to be walking away? So, but that could always be, somebody to help me with emotional situations where I'm wanting to walk away, so more my ancestor psychological counselor, you might say, or emotional counselor. Or it could be someone who wants to lead me um, to, for example, my daily readings. What the first question is, how can I nourish myself? How do I need to nourish myself? And so to me, that this could be an ancestor who is dedicated to helping me specifically with that sort of issue when I need to walk away and do a little soul searching type of self-healing. And because this one, especially because this one struck me as unclear, this was the clearest one, I decided to pull 3 more. And when I pulled these 3 more, I'm going to separate these out for a second. And so we have the 8 of Cups with the 10 of Wands. And so this immediately became clear to me because I do this to myself. I do this to myself. And I let others, I'm watching, and I'm letting others do this to me. I'm letting my boss do this to me. Good person though she is. And again, I can't blame people for not understanding my situation if I'm not speaking it correctly, which, but and I'm not fully standing up for myself, but I want to do this stuff, I want to do my job and be of service in my role, in my work. But to me, this is like my guardian against this. Somebody to help me see that this is to not do this. Don't do this. And it's interesting because to me, these are both cards of leaving. So, because to me, this is as a progression from the 9 of Wands, is pulling up stakes and, going home, going back to the village, kind of with your head hanging kind of thing. And so this might be, the ancestor who says, no, it's just that your path is a totally different path. And so sit with me, come visit me for a while. Maybe the ancestor is not this person. Maybe the ancestor is this swirl of energy like a finger beckoning. No, this way, come here. Don't worry about this. This is silly material stuff. Here, come this way. So that, by pulling that third row, this definitely came to clarity. So I'm going to put that up there. And then this was less so. I would have expected this maybe to come up with the Justice card just because it's swords, but it didn't. And I think it can be very instructive. You know, I'm in another spread that I'm working on that you'll see it eventually. It'll be on my channel. I won't go into explaining it now. But in that other spread, there's a situation in which the Page of Swords is a defender. And since that is a recent interpretation or way of looking at it, it's usually I think of the Page of Swords as somebody who's wanting to prove themselves and is just a pain in the butt, you know? Just kind of stupidly contentious, doesn't really know what they're doing. They just like to argue and look for things to argue about. But I don't think that's the situation here. I'm not sure that the page is... It's interesting too in this deck that the clouds are actually down by his feet, so he is actually doing better than the pages in other depictions where the clouds are more up here, but the wind is blowing, and so things are becoming clear. So I'm not sure what the exact connection is. So my assumption, similar to the last two, is that this card is my ancestor, and this is what my ancestor is trying to help me with. Now, it could be that, as I have talked about repeatedly here recently, especially, too much in my head, and this is obviously about Pentacles. So this might, this ancestor might be helping kind of undo this tendency to be too much in my head, to cut things to pieces maybe, instead of, you know, to me this is a card of keeping things whole and in unity, and how that creates prosperity. So maybe this is kind of, I don't know, I'll probably have to explore this a little bit more, and explore this, probably all of them actually, I will explore a little bit more. And if I'm going to really use what I've pulled here, then I feel like I need to get something to represent these ancestors or something, so I'm going to have to do a deeper exploration. And what was coming to mind was maybe getting figurines to represent each of these ancestors. And I don't know what I would get to maybe represent the problem they're supposed to help me with, or problems. But I do feel like I need something physical, or I'm going to forget about it. I'm going to space out. So that's that pair. And then there's this. And so as anyone who's, well, no, because I don't know when I started talking about this. I have actually made quite a few videos that I haven't put up. I'm going to put this one up now as opposed to putting it in the queue, because it does have to do with my daily reading. But in another video that I recently did but may not have uploaded yet, maybe in the queue of things to upload. I just don't have the time to sit, and by the time I've made the videos, I'm tired and I'm done with it. And so yeah, eventually my channel will suddenly be flooded with videos. um, so that seeing this as a poison offer, it's like that something's not right here and more is coming in and you're questioning it, and there could be good reasons. Sometimes this is about missing an opportunity, but and this card does look like it takes that sort of depiction, but when it's coming with the Justice card, I feel like it's saying, this is, how do you judge? You need to be more objective in your judgment of what is coming your way in terms of emotional offers. So this is kind of about owning the emotional coloring, which is what just was, I think, in today's reading as well. Coming up as the Page of Cups. But it was a similar sort of, I didn't get the Justice. Yes, I did get the Justice card, didn't I? Oh my God, I wasn't even thinking about that. So what was supposed to take precedence today was justice. And what came up as what I could let go of was the Page of Cups, which of course is offering a cup. And so this is extremely close mimicking exact in this case and very close in this one. So very interesting. Yes. So it's like, I think I've said this to myself really recently. This is my memory problems, right? At least it did kick in finally. Where to kind of own up to how I make decisions in an emotionally colored way. And this is to counteract that. To put in place a different ethic for for judging what comes my way, to help evaluate what comes my way. So very interesting. And again, I think I need to explore all of those ancestors more and the issues. And I do have to think about how I'm going to remember and what, so if anybody has suggestions about, like, should I journal to get to this communication? I might also pull some additional cards to get a feel for who these ancestors are, as my ancestor mentors, as my consultants, kind of who they are, so I can get a stronger fix on this, and then maybe on the situations as well, separately. And there's always journaling, like, hello, who are you? Just kind of doing a free write, sort of a journaling. As a form of understanding or connecting. And if anybody has any other suggestions for how I connect with, stay in connection with um, these energies. Help. Let me know. Um, because like I said, I can reach out, and I can have, most of the time I can have a power animal present, sense a power animal next to me in a second, and it's very magical. But this, it's like I don't even know quite what I'm reaching out for or being open to, or, I'm not somebody who generally, I'm not clairaudient, if I would say I'm, if any clair, I would be, I'm a claircognizant, I know things, I don't hear specific voices or something. It's just like with that ancestor mentor thing, it's just words that came to mind. So yeah, if anybody has techniques, feel free to share in terms of ancestor connections. All right, everybody, I'm going to leave it at that. Thanks for coming along for the adventure, and I will see you again soon. Bye bye.